Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, and this is Car Chronicles. How you guys doing? I don't know when you're going to get the video, but happy Friday to you. You guys ready? Let's do this. So by the time you see the video, I have a title for it, but I really couldn't think of a title because I really wanted to talk about narcissistic mothers, pregnancy, infants, stress responses, PTSD. So I don't even know. Well, like I said, by the time you see this title, by the time you listen to the video, it has a title. But just know it was so many thoughts in my head this morning when I was coming on. But listen, so I was doing some studying, and I was in a class, and I was studying some stress and PTSD and things that happens to infants, and things that happens in the body when the mother is stressing, and I just wanted to put it all together and just work with me because I have a lot of thoughts that are flowing. So I was looking at, think about the fact that a narcissistic mother, for example, a narcissistic mother that gets pregnant. If you've been around a mother that is a narcissist, right, you'll notice that it's not about the baby, it's about herself. She likes being pregnant. I know some of you guys have been around people like this. She likes being pregnant because of the attention that she gets. And then once she has the baby, while the infant is a baby, they're totally dependent on the mother. So they love that part. Plus, they're getting the attention from people around them. The baby getting attention, she's getting attention because she's holding the baby. But as the baby starts getting older, the baby starts getting more independent. That's what we want. The baby gets more independent. So now most people are focusing their attention just on the baby instead of on the mother as well. And so the mother finds that, now the baby has become irrelevant because I'm not getting the attention, and they don't need me like they used to need me at one point in time. So they get pregnant again. So these are the ones that you hear say, I just love being pregnant. Now, I'm not saying there are some women that do love being pregnant. I did. I'm just telling you. I enjoyed it in the beginning until I couldn't breathe. But the joy of having a baby in your hand. Some of you won't be able to understand because you're not a narcissist, right? But you hear them say now, hindsight is 20/20. When you go back and now like that person is a narcissist, you go back and look, they enjoyed the pregnancy because they enjoyed the attention that they got. And when they had the baby, they enjoyed all the attention, they were getting from the people around them because they had the baby, right? But once the baby became independent, you noticed that they were more distant from the baby, so they had another one. So they keep having babies. Not everybody, but I'm just saying in this situation, right? Now think about this as well. Most people don't look at a narcissist as having high levels of stress, but, they're a narcissist for a reason. They've been traumatized one way or another. Some people have been traumatized, like the ones that I have met through my private practice. Most all of them that I have met have been violated as a child, that way. Violated as a child, abused, rejected, neglected, verbally abused, physically abused, all that right there. Some of them have been abandoned and made to raise themselves, and a lot of them were raised by narcissist parents where they were taught, that they were better than anybody else. So it's like it was the environment that they were in. And remember, there's no definitive answer of how narcissistic personality develops, but there are some that are raised by narcissists that are taught to be grandiose, that are taught, and it takes, all of a sudden their personality, it clicks, and all of a sudden they become what the parent is. It gets passed down. But think about the fact that, a narcissist usually has high levels of stress themselves. You can't treat narcissistic personality disorder, but you can treat, the anxiety, the depression, everything. So that lets you know that, there's co-occurring disorders that go along with it that let you know some of them also have PTSD. But imagine, a baby being inside of a mother that is constantly exposed to stress, whether she's a narcissist or not a narcissist. But imagine you pregnant, and you're with a narcissist partner, and you are constantly abused, constantly berated. Your stress levels are high. Your adrenaline is flowing. You're having the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. Imagine what that's doing to the neurological system of your baby. And then you wonder why babies are born colicky, crying, and they do have, you do have in PTSD, you have the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. The fight response, you meet those people that are triggered or they're constantly aggressive, fighting, arguing. They always feel like someone has wronged them or someone is not, they're always fighting. They're always aggressive. They're always, everything is a fight response. Then you have the flight response. The levels of stress get high. They hate confrontation. They much rather run or deny that it's happening. They're not going to confront it. They'll move. They'll quit a job when the stress levels get high. They don't deal with their children, when they're trying to parent and the child is stressing them. They don't deal with the child. They act like this is not a problem. It doesn't exist, but they flight, they run. You meet those people that are always running from problems. They won't confront issues. Then so it's fight, flight, freeze. Then you have the freeze response where people feel immobilized. They don't know what to say. It's like your mind goes blank and you don't know what to say at the moment of confrontation. Confrontation doesn't always mean that you're going to fight, not confront, confrontation and fighting, but sometimes it means you have to confront issues that may be stress invoking. You have to confront issues that are uncomfortable issues. And sometimes what happens is that freeze response. It's a psychological response to trauma. And it's a freeze response where your mind goes blank and you have no idea what to say. And then people around you may get angry and like, well, you should have confronted the issue. You should have told them this right here. You had all the facts together. We talked about this before it happened. But when that stress hit, you freeze and there's nothing you can do. You freeze, your mind goes blank. You don't know what to say. And it's not until after you're removed from the situation where all the thoughts come back and then you start thinking, I should have said this and I should have said this. But, people are telling you should have said this and, you've already known this is happening. It's that freeze response. That's why it's so important to have a trauma-informed workforce, a trauma-informed medical force, we need to be trauma-informed because sometimes the way that people are reacting, those are trauma responses. They're not just not saying anything. Some of them are afraid because they're in the freeze response and the fawn response. The fawn response is to avoid conflict at all costs. The body will cause, I always say the Johari's window. There are things that you don't know about yourself that other people don't know about you as well. And the thing about it is you have people, they're so bold to say, I wouldn't have done that and I don't understand and you should have and I just can't imagine because I would have and I would have. But when you are in extenuating circumstances, you don't know what you'll do. There are some heroes that are created and then there are some people that will run. The freeze flight response, you don't know what you'll do in extenuating circumstances. That's how the Stockholm syndrome develops because you don't know what you'll do to try to survive in a situation that could be a life or death situation. So you don't know what you'll do. You don't know what you'll say. You don't know what demands you will meet in order to save your child or to save yourself. And so that fawn response is you're trying to appease that person, and you're trying to make sure that they're not angry. You're trying to survive. You're trying to live another day. So that's that fawn response. Now, when I was, I'm in class right now, so I was getting some studies, and I can't recall who the researcher was, but there are trauma responses from babies, from infants, and one of them, they were talking about the immobilization. Now, a child can't do the flight, they can't do the fight response. So a lot of times the immobilization, which is like a freeze response, the babies will have a freeze response. And in that freeze response, they begin to develop a learned behavior. And those of you that know, that are in psychology, sociology, that understand learned behavior, they understand there's two scientists. And I believe their name was Seligman and Myers. They were researchers back in 1967 time period. And you guys know when I tell the story, you know what I'm talking about. And what it was is they had these dogs that were in these gates or cages that had electric shocks up underneath it. And what happened was that their nature was to jump out and try to rescue themselves. But what was happening was they were being shocked, but they weren't afforded the opportunity to get out of the cage. And so eventually it was hopelessness, so they learned helplessness, that no matter what it is that they do, they cannot escape their circumstances. So what happened was when everything was opened up and they would shock them, they would not try to escape the cages. So they had learned helplessness. It was that, that no matter what it is that I do, I can't escape this situation. The situation is unavoidable and inescapable. There we go. And so they did not fight to get out of the cage. They just stood there and took the shocks. Well, when a baby, has been stressed and comes out in an environment that's stressful, comes from an environment where the mother is exposed to anxiety and they have colic and they're crying, and some of them, being shocked during birth, they become immobilized, like they freeze. But then later on, they develop this learned helplessness where no matter what it is that I do, I can't escape, my situation. Well, some of you have faced that same situation where you have learned helplessness, where you feel like there is no answer to your situation. And there actually is. You can escape. So you keep on watching my videos because I'm going to teach you things. Just keep watching the videos.